Since it first aired in 1964, Jeopardy! Has grown into an American staple. Not only is it one of the most notable game shows ever made, but it is also seriously addictive and works to push the contestants to their intellectual limits. Thus, some would argue that without Jeopardy, daytime television just wouldn't be the same. Over the decades, the game show has welcomed a ton of admirable players, but one of the most memorable is Ken Jennings. Aside from hosting the show throughout the 2020s, Jennings is best recognized for being one of the show's most successful contestants. But, despite his immense streak, fans best remember Ken Jennings for fumbling a simple Jeopardy! Question and losing out on copious amounts of money. Nowadays, Jeopardy! Has a handful of international adaptations, but the game is pretty much exactly the same. Instead of using a very conventional question and answer format, this game show completely subverts this idea and offers contestants the answers first. So, the entire point of the game is to guess the question rather than the answer. In Season 20, the show experienced a huge rule change that allowed players to stay on the show as long as they kept winning. After completing various rounds of interviews and practicing general knowledge questions with flashcards, Jennings was accepted onto the show. However, he nearly lost out on the first hurdle. In Season 21, the man nearly lost his entire winning streak after answering, "She's the first female track and field athlete to win medals in 5 different events at a single Olympics, with Who is Jones?" Luckily, host Alex Trebek was happy to accept the answer because female athletes were not as notable as they are now. Contestants aren't allowed to wager certain amounts on the show because of their inappropriate and satanic connections. These are $666, $14, $88, and $69. Jennings quickly recovered from this minor setback and kickstarted his incredible 74-game winning streak. To put this into perspective, the previous streak was held by Tom Walsh, who won $186,000 in 8 games. Yet, Jennings' consecutive success came crashing down in November 2004 when he incorrectly answered, "Most of this firm's 70,000 seasonal white-collar employees work only 4 months a year." Instead of saying, "What is H&R Block?" Jennings said, "What is FedEx?" As soon as the man uttered this false answer, the audience gasped, and it quickly became apparent that Jennings' amazing performance would soon be drawing to a close. Yet, he didn't go home empty-handed and still managed to take home a staggering $2,522,700. In 2016, Jeopardy! Created an April Fool's episode, which featured Trebek walking out with no trousers on and occasionally wearing a fake mustache. Even though this unfortunate incident occurred over 20 years ago, a lot of fans are still dumbfounded over why Jennings lost the game over such a simple question. For context, H&R Block is a tax preparation company, so it would only be active during tax seasons. However, Jennings' answer, FedEx, is a courier service, so it is likely to be in operation around the clock. For an average Joe, this is a very easy mistake, but fans must remember that in just 74 games, Jennings managed to correctly answer 2,700 questions. Plus, at the time, he worked as a computer programmer for a healthcare company, so he would likely have a clear idea of how businesses work. However, it seems that fans will never really know what prompted Jennings to blurt out the wrong answer, but his success is still absolutely mind-blowing. Audiences would assume that after winning over $2 million on a game show that Ken Jennings would be keen to kick back and enjoy his new life of luxury. However, the man then went on to challenge even more game shows, eventually becoming the highest-earning American game show contestant. After donating 10% of his winnings to his LDS church and enjoying a series of TV appearances, the man set his sights on Wait. Don't Tell Me, a popular show on NPR. From there, he battled countless other shows like 1 vs. 100, Stump the Master, and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? There was also talk of Jennings hosting his own game show. Comedy Central was keen to get Jennings on board alongside Michael Davis, but ultimately decided against the idea because the hit satirical The Daily Show was doing so well. However, up until 2006, various networks were still workshopping ideas and were keen to make Jennings the new game show host of his generation. But even though he's now a millionaire and a Jeopardy legend, Jennings enjoys returning to his old stomping ground. In 2005, he won second place on Jeopardy! Ultimate Tournament of Champions, scooping up a whopping $500,000. A few years later, he took on his biggest challenge yet, defeating a supercomputer created by IBM named Watson. The IBM challenge encouraged players to go up against an AI system that had the potential to answer any question using a superior natural language processor. Although Watson took the crown, winning $1 million for charity, Jennings came a close second, securing another $300,000. However, Jennings took his loss on the chin and commended Watson's power in an article for Slate. "But there's no shame in losing to Silicon," I thought to myself as I greeted the suddenly friendlier team of IBM engineers after the match. "After all, I don't have 2,880 processor cores and 15 terabytes of reference works at my disposal, nor can I buzz in with perfect timing whenever I know an answer. My puny human brain, just a few bucks worth of water, salts, and proteins, hung in there just fine against a $1 billion supercomputer." After showing off his skills in a number of different areas and enjoying life as a household name, Jennings made Jeopardy! History once again in 2020. The contestant won first place on Jeopardy! The greatest of all time, not only securing his well-deserved title, but also allowing him to win another $1 million. In just 15 years, Jennings had won $3,522,700 on Jeopardy! Alone, making him a niche icon in the game show industry. For a lot of people, Ken Jennings' story seems like something out of a ridiculous Hollywood movie. However, from a simple appearance, he has managed to grow into a really desirable game show host. In 2020, Jennings became a consulting producer on the show, allowing him to gain a closer look at how the show is staged and produced. So, when Trebek was tragically diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, NBC felt that Jennings would be the best man to co-host Jeopardy! While the original host was coping with his treatment. When Trebek eventually lost his fight against the disease, Jennings started hosting alongside actress Mayim Bialik, creating a whole new era of the show. Before Jennings and Bialik received the role of co-hosts, Aaron Rodgers and Katie Couric tried out for the part. Aside from hosting TV shows, Jennings has done a very good job of tapping into the trivia market. He has published a number of books, including a memoir titled Brainiac: Adventures in the Curious, Competitive, Compulsive World of Trivia Buffs. He also had a weekly trivia column in Parade magazine, encouraging readers to guess a mystery topic based on a series of topics. This may not seem like a big deal, but it allowed Jennings to pursue his true passion: writing. In 2000, Jennings graduated with a double major in English and computer science, so he finally had the chance to follow his dream of becoming a writer. Ken Jennings' college roommate was Brandon Sanderson, who went on to complete the Wheel of Time series after the original author passed away. Alongside Jeopardy! Jennings is also featured on The Chase as the professor. Admittedly, Jennings' career seems quite strange, only because he's managed to give it a ton of longevity. When fans think of game show winners, they may think of Charles Ingram, who cheated on a game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. However, Jennings seems to be a general knowledge giant and has proved time and time again that he really is the man to beat. As such, he seems to be one of the only people in television history to experience a massive blow, only to come back stronger and more popular than ever.